is great. Allahu Akbar. God is great. Allahu Akbar. God is great.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, this is your host, Gabriel Romaani. Alhamdulillah, you're joining us for another interesting episode, inshallah. Continuing with the issues regarding you, brothers and sisters, in the 21st century Ummah, the Muslims of this global village. And we're discussing things that are sometimes, subhanAllah, are avoided by people, that people don't want to discuss. And we're trying to get into these things for your sake, bi'idhnillah, so you can take benefit. And inshallah, try to, first of all, us to try to better ourselves, to be better Muslims. And inshallah, you to also, bi'idhnillah, become better Muslims. Inshallah, today we're going to continue with the issues of the Masjid, the importance of the Masjid in the community. And in our previous episodes, we've left off with Sheikh Assim and Hakeem. We're talking about the board of directors. And I think we need to still, it was a bit premature discussion. We want to continue because we just touched upon it at the end. But I believe you said that the Imam, his role is the leader of the Masjid, the one who has the knowledge and educates the community. Now, the board of directors or the Shura council or anything like that, who should these people be ideally, and how, what's their role in the Masjid?
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Sallallahu sallam wa baraka ala abdihi wa rasulihi wa Mustafa, Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah, amma ba'd. When you look at what's happening in non-Muslim countries, there are extremes and the middle path. If you appoint a masjid to a single imam and he does everything from financing, from the treasury, from administration, from instructions, etc., you'll find abuse, unfortunately. And this had been detected, and very rarely, but it's there. When you have full power over things and there's no accountability, people abuse this. So you've got some people who took the money and ran away, collected money for the masjid and took half of it, or started making rules. Unfortunately, this is found in countries where there is innovation dominating these countries. So a brother sent me an email saying that in my masjid, because it follows a particular madhab, they have a sign, a big sign in the masjid. It is not permissible for you to say Ameen after the recitation of the Imam, and if you say so, we will kick you out of the masjid.
MashaAllah.
What is this? One of the brothers said, I prayed in a masjid and I used to raise my hands. And the Imam came to me while I was praying and making a scene out of it until I finished my prayer. And he said, don't pray like this and get out of our masjid if you want to pray like this. Now, following the sunnah, it is becoming a crime. So there is an abuse. There is abuse that is detected. And so many times the board of directors, if they were selected and if they're fearful of Allah Azza wa Jal, they add value in the sense that they put limitations to such abuse, and at the same time, they give counsel. The Imam himself, they appoint him, because sometimes you have to have more than one Imam. Sometimes the Imam leaves and you have to replace him with someone else. So this is the job description of this committee that runs the masjid. Unfortunately, like all politics, politics stinks. When you have the wrong criteria in choosing these people, in accordance to their wealth, or in accordance to their power, or in accordance to being prestigious or of the dignitary of the community, this does not add value all the time. When they have a decision to make, this hinders the role of the masjid, because those who are in charge of the masjid should follow the Quran and the Sunnah. They should practice the Quran and the Sunnah, not just being enthusiastic, because they may give the wrong vote and jeopardize the masjid and its interests.
MashaAllah. Anything that you would like to add up?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu ala Rasulillah. I would say that what Sheikh Assim made a note of, which is very, very few cases, if very rare, I would not generalize from that. And I don't want people to understand that this is the general practice within masjids in the non-Muslim countries or communities of Muslims who are a minority. Yet I would say what is important is to find the right people under the circumstances. We may not find the ideal people all the time. However, we should use or have the best within the community. And obviously the most important thing is who is the leader, who is the chairman of the board. That is important because he can have an influence, and that person has to be knowledgeable, has to be responsible, has to be God-fearing, having that taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal. So in order to maintain the masjid according to the Islamic rules, because you'll be having pressures, and obviously I can understand that, let's say, women would like to have a share in that board, or the youth would like to have a share. That's important to the extent that you can make it possible if you can hear from them regarding their activities to be planned, the programs within the masjid, and so on. However, if you're going to have a mixing of the men and women together, that's a problem. If you're going to allow, anything that is against the teachings of Islam to be practiced, that's also a problem. So we need to go by these teachings. What I feel is the most important thing is who is in the driver's seat. Both the imam and the chairman of the board have to be the best, inshallah. And I think it's time for these people to have like an academy of training the imams, or at least take them to a Muslim country where these programs are available in order for them to learn and to know how to lead a masjid, because not everyone has the talent or the knowledge to do these things. They may have their own interests, they may have their own way, as the examples were given, that you need to be out of our masjid. They're not able even to tolerate a Muslim who may differ in a fiqhi issue with them. That's a big problem, and shows the narrowness in the minds of some of these people. But we can understand that many masjids, unfortunately, either follow a particular madhab, a fiqhi madhab, or a particular race or a particular ethnicity.
Ethnicity, right?
That's a problem that we need to overcome, and we need to be very careful. Let me point out to a very, very important issue, and that is the khutbah of the Jumu'ah, or khutbah of al-Eidain. It's a worship. It's a form of ibadah. And therefore it should be done according to what the Prophet ﷺ taught the ummah, which is to have it short, sweet, and nice, and full of evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah, and do not change it into like a political analysis or a lecture about your own ideas and understandings and so on. This often is the case for many masjids. This has become a phenomenon, unfortunately. And that's why even in Muslim countries, people have some vague idea about what they want to talk about, and they just keep repeating and repeating and talking and going up and down and going to the east and the west and citing examples from nowhere, particularly if they do not read a well-prepared khutbah. That's when they get lost. And then the people are the victims, the people who are sitting, and some of them are even more educated probably than the khatib himself, and they just feel very frustrated. They feel unhappy either because of this person not saying the right thing, or because he prolonged the khutbah more than it should be. Khutbah in general has to be short and sweet. The Prophet ﷺ, when I looked at a book that has gathered the khutbahs of the Prophet ﷺ, I found that most of them are just half a page. Half of a page was the khutbah of the Prophet ﷺ. Sometimes it may prolong to be 2 pages, 2.5 pages at most. That's what I found the longest for Jumu'ah in particular. Yes, he may have long addresses. That's when there is no Jumu'ah. You're not performing Jumu'ah or Eid. So the point is, we need to concentrate on the matters that are of concern, and with evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah, and make it short and direct to the point in order to make people happy, unconfused, and at the same time do not take more than you should of their valuable time.
Would anyone like to add anything more about the khutbah al-Jum'ah?
Those who behind the imam should be the people of knowledge. لِيَلِينِ مِنْكُمْ أُولُو الْأَحْلَامِ وَالنُّهَى. Okay, so that in case something happens to the imam, no disruption will happen. The person behind is knowledgeable, he will step forward immediately, and the salah will continue.
So if he breaks his wudu, he can
for any
move back,
reason,
and then
for
the
any-
person can
for any
step in and
reason.
lead the prayer.
Yes, yes.
Right, so we talked about the khutbah. What about...
If I may add something for
No,
the
please,
khutbah.
go ahead.
The Prophet said, إن قصر خطبة الرجل
MashaAllah.
وطول صلاته لمئنة من فقهه.
من فقهه.
That it's an indication of a man's wisdom and knowledge to have his sermon of Friday short but prolonging the salat. Nowadays we've reversed this.
No, yes,
So people in Salat al-Jum'ah, they try to make it as short as possible. While the khutbah, as Sheikh Ahmed said, the orator or the khatib goes and delivers a khutbah, and he like tours the whole world and then comes back. And if you ask any of the congregation after the salah, what was it about? Said, well, it's a good khutbah, but I have no recollection. And this is wrong. If you are a khatib, you should choose a topic, research it well, and make it as concise as possible so that the people, when they go out, they know one single topic that they've benefited, rather than listening to the life story of or a biography of someone they don't relate to, and when they go out, they've not benefited a thing.
MashaAllah. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after this.
God is great.
Stories of glories. Often that three fought the pangs of poverty by selling gowns at 13. His blindness did not stop his unquenchable thirst for knowledge. Propagated virtues, prevented vice with decisions unchallenged. He is Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Abdullah bin Baz, former Grand Mufti of Saudi. Peace TV presents over 100 million viewers at one of the largest peace conferences in the world, addressing a sea of spellbound spectators. Over 30 world-renowned orators on Islam with credentials impeccable.
The truth of Islam.
Deen is your way of life.
It is our duty, our obligation.
By following the Quran and Sunnah,
We will give the message to one and all.
With articulation exquisite.
Read the book of Allah.
Islam is the easy way. It's the simple way.
Remind each other.
the Muslim is not a source of harm for other people.
Collaborate with the people for good.
This is the call of Islam.
With the mission of spreading the truth of Islam.
Do what you can to spread the word of Islam. Wherever we are.
Live like Muslims.
Use your power.
Allah is saying, why do you need anything else? This Quran is self-sufficient.
Only book on the face of the globe, the Quran.
How a human being should lead his life is given in this instruction manual, the glorious Quran.
For peace to prevail on earth in Peacemakers. Next on Peace TV.
God is great.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome back. We are talking still about the masjid, and we've talked about the khutbah al-Jum'ah. And we want to move now to another ibadah that takes place in the masjid, which is very important, is ittikaf. And this has some rulings associated to it, and a lot of people sometimes don't know or have, make mistakes in. So could we start, please, with the importance of ittikaf, when is it done, and so on. Sheikh Salem, fadal.
Just before this, the way you delivered the khutbah. Prophet ﷺ, he is like a warner, warning the people that they are going to be attacked by an enemy. Nowadays, you find many of the imams, they make you feel asleep. People, their heads are nodding. So the way the Prophet ﷺ, the mimbar, the pulpit used to shake, that was the way the Prophet ﷺ used to deliver the khutbah.
And I see that this is because it's coming from his heart.
His heart, of course.
He's really, really expressing himself and his conviction. It's something that he wanted to deliver and show people exactly what he meant, because unless you express yourself clearly and use your features, and we know that eye contact, for example, where some people might just not look at the audience or may just hide their eyes in the papers in front of them, or just not express themselves, you know, as I'm standing solid here. No, you can use your hands, you can express yourself in order to show exactly what you mean by that. So that is important, as the Sheikh mentioned.
And if I may add, again, extreme and the middle path.
Right.
You find some people go out of their way shouting and terrifying, intimidating the audiences, though this is not the Sunnah 100%. It depends on the topic. The Prophet ﷺ, if he was warning them about hellfire, about sinning, about shirk, he would definitely use an aggressive tone because he was speaking out of the heart. But
strong tone.
Yeah, it's a strong tone. It's not aggressive. But when he was talking about Jannah, for example, that would not be appropriate to say, and Jannah has 8 doors, 8 gates. Akhi, this is the wrong thing for the people to do. Some people go all the way.
They mix things.
Yeah, and some people say, and hellfire has 7 gates, and 70,000 leashes would be pulled by 70,000 angels. And the hellfire, wow, that's a nice place to be in.
Mild fire.
Yeah, that's a nice place to go to. No, it's not. It's the other way around. The body language is important. Sometimes the imam goes out of his way. You know, shouting. When we have little girls making nasheed, and they say, life is beautiful, and do this. The imam shouldn't be doing this. But the Prophet at the same time used to use body language. Me and the one who sponsors an orphan are like this on the Day of Judgment, and he pointed. So sometimes you have to use a little bit of body language. I've been to some masjids, I think the mashayikh have as well, where they try to be modern. So they have like big plasma screens in the masjid, and while the imam is doing khutbah on Jannah, you find, you know, waterfalls and gardens. Some of them even go to the extent of translating the khutbah. So the people are not listening, they're just watching what's being visualized.
It's a show.
It's a show. No, okay, this might be acceptable in a lecture, not khutbah al-Jum'ah. Khutbah al-Jum'ah has its own status and flavor. Its etiquette, its rulings that must be respected. So one has to actually know the balance. Body language, the tone of the voice is very important. Again, coming back to the Sheikh Ahmed's note, writing the khutbah is not a must. The Prophet ﷺ did not write his khutbah, neither his companions, but they were true Arabs of eloquency and perfection. And they knew how to organize their thoughts, and their khutbah was this short. In our cases, nowadays, we judge people by whether they're reading or not. So if he doesn't read the khutbah, oh, he's a great khatib. Akhi, he's talking so many things. What did you benefit? Nothing.
Exactly.
So you have to limit it. You have to limit it to points.
You can combine the two together. It's very easy to combine. You can speak very clearly and with eye contact while looking at what you read. So you already make some notes, not necessarily read verbatim, one after the other, word for word, but rather you can express yourself. So this needs training. In other words, it doesn't come out of this, out of your own interest or out of because you've been born with this gift. No, it takes time to train and to prepare. So good khatibs have to train themselves and get ready. That's why in schools we have to train children for this. And I'm glad to make a note The Peace TV, by the grace of Allah, and the IRF, mashallah, is doing great in that respect. They prepare students from very early age to be able to be good khatibs, imams, lecturers, and that's an asset.
In their school, IIS, International Islamic School.
Alhamdulillah, all of this is being watched, and Peace is doing it by the grace of Allah.
MashaAllah.
Coming to your question regarding i'tikaf.
No, yes, please.
I'tikaf is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, particularly at the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. You can do any time. By the way, you can stay in the masjid for a certain period of time in between the salahs, at any time of the day or the night, only secluding yourself, wanting to pray, if it's a time for prayer, voluntary prayer, and you want to engage in reciting the glorious Quran and dhikr and so on, yes, you can do even a short period of time as i'tikaf.
Do you have to have a niyyah for it?
But the most important thing is to have the niyyah, even if it's a short period of time, 1 hour or 2 hours. But normally, i'tikaf does take longer than that. And the most important thing is that when you are there, you do not need to come out of the masjid unless you have to, for a necessity. Even the Prophet ﷺ, when he made i'tikaf, he used to give his head out of the room that he was in for Aisha radiallahu anha to clean it and to comb it and put some perfume to it, and then just come back again to the masjid. They used to bring him food inside. Even the wives of the Prophet ﷺ made i'tikaf in the prophetic masjid in Medina. The most important thing is to revive the sunnah. However, we need to be careful not to abuse the sunnah, because some young Muslims try to go beyond the limits in this regard, and they change it into like a chit-chat sort of thing. They talk about anything, and they don't concentrate on the purpose of i'tikaf, which is to seclude yourself from anything else but the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to reflect upon your past, think about what I need to do, how can I improve myself, I need to make ibadah for myself better. All of these things, when being in the minds of a mu'takif or someone who is there, it's going to give you the benefits of that sunnah.
MashaAllah. Anything you'd like to add to i'tikaf, Sheikh Salem?
The i'tikaf, which is the one in Ramadan, okay, it is better to be in a masjid that is jami', that is the Jumu'ah is conducted, so that you don't go outside, there's no need for you there, okay? It is preferable if it is with fasting. It is better, though it is allowed without it. And the most important thing is the observer of i'tikaf, the one who is in the i'tikaf, has to abide by the etiquettes and serving the purpose of the i'tikaf. And that is to contemplate on his sins and to seek Allah's forgiveness. Because now in Ramadan, you'll find them, people are chatting, they are doing many things. Wal-'iyadhu billah.
Subhanallah. Sheikh Assim, anything about i'tikaf?
No, I don't think I have anything more to add, except that the i'tikaf is a ritual that has been neglected by so many Muslims. Now, you can do this, some limit it only to Masjid of Medina, Mecca, and Al-Aqsa. And the majority of scholars say that any masjid, it can be done in it. It can be performed in it, preferably not to socialize. Like Sheikh Salem said, that it has to be a masjid of Friday, so that you won't have to leave your masjid to another masjid to pray Friday. And you are not allowed to leave for normal things like visiting a sick person or to do your job or something and come back. You should seclude yourself in the entire time to have the full reward by not only leaving except for answering the call of nature, or if there is no possibility of food coming to you, you go and eat and come back. And the most essential thing in i'tikaf is that you don't have any kind of intimacy with the missus. وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. So even if you have to go home and have a bite, you still have to refrain from any type of intimacy, because you're supposed to be secluding your soul, your body to Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is a time to refresh, a time to charge the heart when you leave the whole world behind. But when you have your laptop with you, when you have your mobile phones, and you keep on like spending this, nothing changed. So what use is your i'tikaf? And Allah knows best.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Again, very beneficial. Alhamdulillah. And I hope that you, the audience, benefited. Again, this is your host, Gabriel Romaani. We will see you on another episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
See